Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Control. I see we're already popping off. We're halfway to lifting the directorial lockdown. Now we have to go tend to the coolant pumps. Or wait, no. The energy converter. Oh, we did the coolant pumps. I mix these two up all the time. So, before we even do that, we have to tend to the Hiss who are assaulting the generator. By the way, we just fast traveled back here between episodes since this is our nexus, our hub to the different areas and maintenance that we're going to have to hit up to lift the override in the first place. And the load times can get a little bit gnarly. Not quite pre-patch Bloodborne most of the time. Sometimes, though. I think next time I hit a control point, I'm gonna gun for the launch upgrade that lets me send grenades and rockets back at Hiss. And then after that, the launch tree actually goes in some pretty fun directions. I'd like to deal with you. Ooh. Come on. There it is. I didn't want to fling something telekinetically at it and waste the energy since it was already so low. So I just chucked it at the one Hiss who was to its left. Now we'll follow the sign so I do not go the wrong direction. Energy converters are the same direction, just a different doorway, I think. Looks like we're going to have more Hiss. This will get rid of everything. Oh, yeah. And that one will do nothing. Cool. God, that's a pretty effect. So the Rogue's energy bar in World of Warcraft, this constantly regenerating resource with a small maximum cap, was one of the inspirations for how energy works in this game. And that's all well and good for telekinesis and the rest of your powers, but the guns didn't work off of the same kind of system at first. Remedy took like this more classical approach with different ammo types and reloading, like as per most shooters. Then they got rid of reloading and put in the recharge system, so you would have to fall back on your other powers when you were out of ammo instead of just really quickly ducking behind, reloading,
fix this thing ASAP.
and moving on. And then they just made the resource universal among the different gun forms altogether to fit with the theme of the service weapon being one object representing many different things. I love when you yank something with telekinesis and as it's coming towards you, it intersects with an enemy and just does a little bit of damage en route to you. And how when you release telekinesis, the whatever you're trying to grab will just launch at whatever you're targeting. And it can be used to get around certain things like you can hit enemies around cover like that, which is pretty fun. Just grabbing an object off in the distance behind an enemy who's behind cover, grabbing it for a split second and then letting it go. You do really fun stuff with telekinesis in this. Which is why I'm really eager to put more points into that. And also, can we get that spin yet? No, not quite. Just barely don't have enough.
It's fried up. You need to fix it before the old big bats lad has a shit fit.
Ahti is such a charmer. this place comes down, we'll all disappear like a fart in Sahara. So this is a more extended sequence. Also, there is a room coming up that gives me real Dr. Strangelove vibes. I mean, the whole aesthetic of this game kind of does. But the override room in particular. You can duck in here for a second just to get a mod or something. Oh no, a threshold remnant. I'm glad that didn't explode on me. You never know. Sometimes it just happens and causes a crisis. Damn. Oh, that's nice and snappy too. This music is kind of nice and down-tempo too. There's an urgency to it, but it's not quite as in your face. Then we have one of the guards up here. I think we can get it over the railing, or through the railing at least, just with a jump. Like the angles that you can fire projectiles from, the trajectories you can get going, really make it puts telekinesis over the top. The fact that you can just let go anywhere on its path towards you. It's such a well-designed, good-feeling, fun tool. I know I'm missing one of these. I'm wondering where that is. Thinking it must be on the lowest floor. I figured that was the lowest one, but nope, there's one down here. Yep.
Let's go lift the lockdown.
Yeah, now the light's green. And we can hit the control room. Call this up in case we need it later. And this is the room I was talking about. It's not quite the war room, but it takes some heavy influence from it. There are other, I think, more transparent homages to Dr. Strangelove later as well. Ooh! Ooh, I got too froggy. I should not have leapt. A moving target is harder to hit. Keep moving to avoid enemy fire and sustain less damage. The problem there is that I moved poorly. Let's try this one again. This time, like 50% less aggro. Still pretty aggro, just not reckless. I still have a little bit of that astral chain in my blood. I recorded the last 2 episodes earlier. So I'm still just in complete rushdown mode.
To protect them, forces contain the lockdown only be lifted by a directorial override.
This is what we came here to do.
Let's listen to that full conversation on the hotline, because that was a little garbled.
So much is expected from the director. The responsibility, the privilege to steer the Bureau into dangerous waters and safely out again. To inspire and lead its people, to protect them. The board is there to advise you, but they want things in return. You hold all this in your old, trembling hands. I had to lose everything before I could see the Bureau is the director's life. There's no room for anything else. If the forces contained here escaped, we'd be dragged back into an age of superstition, terror, death. Assuming you think we ever really left that behind. Any emergency, any major containment breach, and the lockdown goes into effect. I implemented this security measure in my first years as director. I knew we were vulnerable. I'd personally seen the cost of sloppiness. I made sure the internal lockdown could only be lifted by a directorial override, only to be used when the director is confident the sectors are safe to be opened again. This way, the director is the last line of defense. And if I screw up, it's on me, and me alone.
Sheds a lot of light on the lockdown and the character of the director, I think. Solitary, self-reliant, a little suspicious of others, but mostly accountable. He's a character you see almost exclusively in silhouettes, but he's remarkably rich. As a character, that is.
That's it. The other sector should be open now. I think it's time I told Emily why I'm here.
And we will go right back to Central Executive and do that. This is going to include a pretty important reveal. That involves that blue spiral you see right now. Occasionally, these loading screen tips are actually pretty useful. There's one which I only saw for the... Well, I'm not going to say I saw it for the first time. I probably saw it and just never noted anything about it. But there's one really useful one that's just you can cancel telekinesis and drop whatever you picked up by hitting
Jesse,
square.
You made it. And you lifted the internal lockdown.
Let's talk, Emily.
Yes, of course.
Listen, Emily. Screw it. Just tell her. I haven't been completely honest. I have a younger brother, Dylan. When we were kids, we found an old slide projector in Ordinary's landfill. The slides created doorways to other places. Bad things happened. Came through. That's all she gets. The rest stays locked inside. But we found help. Through one of the doorways, we met something. A being.
A being. What kind of being?
It's hard to describe, but she helped us. We managed to turn the projector off. The bad things that came through the doorways were gone. After that, your people came. Tried to grab us. I ran away. They got Dylan.
I left him behind.
Bureau agents took your brother?
Yes. You covered it up. No one believed me. I just want to find Dylan. I've been looking for him ever since.
What happened to the slide projector? It sounds like another object of power.
I thought you took it. The Bureau. Along with Dylan.
I've never heard of it. But around here, I assume everything's classified. You know, I looked into the ordinary AWE case files after you mentioned it. Trench and Darling were both involved. A large area of the containment sector was reserved for it. The case hasn't been active for a long time. I have no idea if anything's still there. Can you tell me more about this being you found?
Let's hope you two get along. She's been with me ever since Ordinary. In my head. She led me to you. I call her Polaris.
As in a guiding star. Did Polaris know about the hiss? If she got you in here in spite of the lockdown, she's very powerful. Which may help explain your test results. Your readings are incredible, Jesse. Now, cross-referencing them with the database, I found 2 matches in Darling's old classified files. Unfortunately, I can't access them beyond the file codes, but one was P6, referring to a prime candidate for a potential future bureau director. This was logged years ago.
Dylan. Is that Dylan?
The other match is on something called Hedron, which must be connected to these Hedron resonance amplifiers somehow. All I know is that Marshall went to the research sector to secure the HRA production after the hiss first attacked.
So, Marshall seems like our best lead on Dylan. I need to go after her. How can I get to the research sector?
Use my keycard. The sector elevator will take you there.
Marshall is the next step. What Emily told me about Ordinary, my powers being connected to things in the Bureau's past, I am so close to something. Do you feel it? Something's coming.
We take turns to come for a visit. I helped you. You owe me now. And when time comes, I will come calling.
That sounds totally cool. Ati's my buddy, and we're gonna help him out.
Hi, Jesse.
I keep finding traces of Darling, but still can't find him. Where could he be?
He's usually in his office in research or one of his labs. Dr. Darling has quite a few all around the Bureau. Could be hiding in any one of them. I check myself, but I don't have access to most of them.
Sounds like I touched a nerve. He didn't let you into his labs?
Not all of them, no. Some had volatile material. It's ridiculous. I mean, this whole place is volatile material. Could have at least thought up a more convincing lie. I mean, how can I work without access to all the data possible?
This place has a bad habit of moving around, huh?
So you notice the building shifts. Did you know that 39% of Bureau accidents are caused by the shifts? It's true. I ran the numbers myself.
So they're dangerous.
Oh, very. At one time, a shark got shifted into a meeting room along with over 2,000 gallons of water. It was a tiger shark, Darling's pet research project. I forget what he was researching.
How do people work here? You said you're an assistant?
Oh, it's just a title. I'm a scientist, a researcher. I work for Dr. Darling. See, when Bureau agents go out in the field, the sites of altered world events, we study the materials, the altered items they bring back. It's always something we've never seen before, and studying them requires new instruments, methodologies, sometimes entirely new fields of science.
Emily really loves her job.
See, there's no guidebook for what we do here. Everything that happens at the Bureau, including the science, is without precedent.
What exactly is the Ocean View Motel?
That's a bigger question than you might think. You see, I have extreme doubts that the motel is a single place. I mean, look at all the doors inside it. Where do they all go? We know that one door leads to the oldest house, but how come we can only ever open that one door? Maybe to open a door, you have to have entered through it. So if every door leads to a different dimension, plane, reality, whatever you want to call it, then I believe that the motel is firm proof that parallel universes exist.
Does Darling agree with that?
I haven't told him yet. I'm waiting until I can prove it.
What can you tell me about control points?
They're nexus points of the oldest house's unique energies. Now, I wrote a 30-page proposal hypothesizing that we could siphon energy directly from them. Darling didn't even get through the first page before he turned it down.
Right. And, has anyone ever used them to teleport around?
What? No. What, I mean, you mean physically? No, not that I've ever heard of. Why?
Because that's how they work for me.
What? Really? Oh my god. More tests.
Let's hold off on the tests until later, okay?
Okay. It's just, wow. This blows my control point theories right out of the water. I love it.
See you soon.
Be careful out there.
Things like that, her reaction, make me love Emily.
I heard the Hiss attacked the power plant. Brings up a lot of new questions.
She just loves her job and loves science and gets excited when wrenches are thrown in her hypotheses because it means there's more to explore and more to learn.
Are the communications
God, it's so endearing.
What about the plant?
It's also kind of a running theme within the research department of the Bureau, which we're on our way to.
Attracted them.
Is everyone getting excited about how much they now know that they don't know. Also, we're going to take Spin out for a ride. For a little bit. What do we have? Rate of fire.
No use guessing the Hiss's motives if we don't even know what kind of energy.
Now we'll be taking the elevator onto this to the research department.
Head of research. Somebody thought this video would make for great internal communications. I'm looking at you, Mr. Tomasi. So, this is where the magic happens. Anyway, I've been here for 24 years now. I've always been here. And through those years, we've made astonishing discoveries, authored studies of great importance, and in all this work, there is one thing we know, and that's how little we truly know. Rest assured, we're committed to keep pushing the known laws and borders of reality, and to make the Bureau proud. So, welcome. Assuming you have the necessary clearance, and do follow the safety protocols. Read the manual. Otherwise, bad things will happen.
Research sector, huh? Home of the Bureau's mad scientists.
I said, it's all about... Oh, this is not the one that I thought it was. This is our chain gun mode. I was thinking of a different one, to be honest. This is not my favorite, but with the right mods, it can be really effective. We'll still use it for a little bit anyway before going back to Shatter and unlocking more forms later. We'll also be getting more weapon slots, so we can just have this on standby. That's what I mean when I talk about hitting them from behind. Ooh! Oh god, I didn't notice the second one. Let me get him in the head, please. There's a really good article from Eurogamer that contextualizes why environments like this and brutalism in general became a thing, particularly in game architecture. It's all harsh angles and raw concrete and pragmatism above all. And its emergence and its lifespan occupied this really specific time period in the 50s through, like, the 70s. And it was born from, like, post-war practicality. It became this harsh, ugly symbol of just cold, unfeeling bureaucracy. Which is perfect for Control, because that's half of the horror and the surrealism of this game. It's getting run down by someone with a sliver of HP. No, about the bureaucracy comment. That's where a lot of the influence from the second Southern Reach book, Authority, comes in. Because unlike Annihilation, which is kind of similar to A Color Out of Space, where the horror is much more overt, and it all takes place in this transformed landscape of Area X, Authority is all office buildings and filing cabinets and like the normalization of horror through everyday mundane bureaucracy. Just like Control, where most of the off-the-wall and sometimes apocalyptic things are just...
She's in trouble. I need to reach her.
Are, like, juxtaposed with spreadsheets and reports and tidy memos, formatted precisely to Bureau standards. It's that juxtaposition of the otherworldly and the kind of horrific with the mundane that gives this such an interesting flavor. He just flung a body. It's one of the reasons I love going into the launch tree. That's just endlessly amusing to me. The rest of them are like right in front of me and below. Oh, we have to be careful with this. I'm still having flashbacks from that one fight. And speaking of the mundanity of evil, if y'all ever really want a good-ass podcast, kind of a horror radio drama to check out, please, I implore you. I've already given a recommendation to the Magnus Archives in this. I'm gonna throw another one at you. Check out Limetown. I'm going to say nothing about Limetown except if you know my taste and you know how much of a horror fan I am, know that I love this and that that's a high recommendation.
Similar to an iceberg, what you see is not what you always get. Regardless, this place is vitally important to the Bureau. Most information on the astral plane is classified, but we can talk in broad strokes. keeping in mind that these are staggeringly complex systems, and simplification does them no justice. Now, the white non-space, the ever-present inverted black pyramid. The board, all linked, intrinsically tied to the oldest house, tied to the director, the process of choosing a director, tied to all objects of power in terms of who controls them. Yes.
We're going to learn a little bit more about the astral plane momentarily. In fact, in this adjoining room, holy hell, that's cool.
An early hypothesis was that the mindscape of the astral plane is subjective. But that was fast proven wrong. It's an actual place, not a construct of the mind, even though it is with our minds that we enter and experience it. But then one could argue that that's the case with all reality. We've been able to record footage of the astral plane by monitoring the brain activity of those experiencing it. That is the only concrete material that has come out of the astral plane expeditions, apart from one shocking exception. In the astral plane footage, we're always in the vicinity of the pyramid. We've concluded that this, not the entire plane, is what the board controls. We have glimpsed movement, native species, always in the distance, and yet contact was made. We don't have footage of this, a technical malfunction, but when one of our astronauts returned, a brain cloud, an astral fugue, had hitchhiked a ride in his head. It ruptured out, killing the subject in question. It's a relentless predator, pursuing thoughts, minds, lethal to those the entity feeds on. Proper containment protocols are to be observed when dealing with it.
A brain cloud. An astral fugue.
I can't believe they keep that thing here.
Let's unpack that next time. Thank you all for watching. Take it easy. Have a good one.